He does not believe that human beings are free or morally responsible in their choices. He believes that our conscious life is fairly superficial.
You've been lied to by your schoolbooks, your culture, even your own self-image. You've been taught that weakness is a flaw to hide, that comfort is the ultimate goal, that life is meant to be easy. Yet here you are, still feeling it. The ache in your muscles after a day of doing what felt simple. The hollow echo in your chest when the world doesn't applaud your name. The quiet whisper in your mind saying, "This isn't enough." What if I told you that in just a few minutes you can begin to erase that weakness? Not by fighting against who you are, but by stepping into an idea almost too bold to claim. You're stronger than you think. And not in secret, in your bones, in your voice, in your destiny. The insight of Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche, let's call him the philosopher who dared to look squarely at weakness and call it out by name, saw something powerful hidden beneath the veneer of modern life. He believed that inside every pain, every doubt, every tiny failure, there lies the seed of transformation. He didn't tell us to run from weakness. He said, feel it, watch it, learn from it, welcome it as a teacher. Then, with that fierce embrace, you step across the line into something untouchable. You don't need to read his entire works to start this. You only need a few minutes, a short pause, a sliver of attention. Nietzsche once spoke of the will to power, not as a drive for domination or control, but as an inner stirring, a force that says, I will become more. Even here, even now in this imperfect body with these imperfect thoughts, I will rise. He believed that weakness is not the enemy. It's the doorway, and the act of passing through it again and again is what forges the soul into its greatest possibility. So here we begin. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a threshold. On one side is everything you've been told you're not. Not smart enough, not bold enough, not loved enough. The mirror reflects someone a bit wary, a bit small, but on the other side, that's where Nietzsche waits. Not with a scolding fist, but with a challenge carved in stone. Become who you are. That title isn't empty. It means your highest self, your fullest, wildest potential. The only one strong enough to love every part of your imperfect story. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn 3 things. Not long lists, not quotes to memorize, not abstract theories, palpable ideas, ones you can say to yourself when your body trembles, when your spirit caves, when the world calls you a joke. Ideas you can carry in your pocket. Like a stone, solid, unbreakable. It begins with your breath. Nietzsche once wrote that every tomorrow is the child of today's courage. Your breath right now, this inhale, this exhale, is evidence of courage. You are alive, and breathing means you can choose again. So inhale with intention, exhale with presence. Let every breath through your lungs be a reminder, I am here, I am choosing. Then, attention. Nietzsche believed we live in an unconscious trance, repeating what we were taught rather than what we were meant to become. Now you wake. You feel the layers, the fear of being judged, the old voices that said never try, the times you quit before you began. But you don't push them away, you watch them pass, like clouds over a blue sky, not because you don't feel, but because you know they're not the sky, you are. Finally, affirmation. Nietzsche called us to create ourselves, not as victims, but as creators. You don't claim glory, you claim truth. The truth being, I am stronger than my fears, I am deeper than my history, I am becoming more right now. Say it not to prove to the world, but to remind your soul of the fire it carries. In a few minutes, those gestures, breath, attention, affirmation, begin to rewire everything you thought about yourself. And you will feel it. A slight shift, a spark. The world won't shout, but inside, you'll know. You've taken the first step. Your spine straightens, your throat softens. The tunnel of your life lifts a bit in shadow. This is Nietzsche's doorway. Once you step through, weakness no longer defines you. It becomes the raw material of your transformation. Not darkness, not shame, but fuel. This is not the training, not the thesis, not the final act, but the invitation. to face down the story that you're not enough, and say, I am becoming. And if you keep walking, step by conscious step, you'll discover that beneath every moment of doubt, you are holding more power than you ever suspected. Welcome to your crossing, your becoming, your refusal to remain small. And now, as you read on, feel in your breath, in your bones, in this very moment, that something within you is waking. Turning thought into action, Nietzsche's method in daily life. Now that you've touched the edge of Nietzsche's threshold, it's time to walk through it. In this part, we're not offering lectures or lists. We're offering something far more powerful, simple rituals born from ancient wisdom and tempered in modern life, routines that transform weakness into fuel. These are your tools for forging strength in every moment. When Nietzsche spoke of facing your shadows, he didn't mean you needed to huddle in caves or recite his philosophy like scripture. He meant you needed to deliberately shape your inner habits, those ongoing choices that whisper to your soul and say, I am here, and I will choose who I become. You can start with the ritual of clarity. Begin your day in silence, even before coffee or conversation. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and ask one question. What do I choose today? Let thoughts drift, fear, doubt, routine, but don't chase them. Simply breathe through them. When you speak or act, make your words and decisions flow from that moment's intention. Nietzsche believed our lives become what we repeatedly do. When you choose deliberately, even for a few minutes each morning, you begin to break the habit of drifting into weakness. You're no longer reacting, you're creating. In Buddhist tradition, this is similar to setting sankalpa, the conscious intention. They teach that the mind is like water. If undisturbed, it reflects the world clearly, but when disturbed, it becomes muddled. Nietzsche's invitation is to let your soul's water settle, just enough to see your own truth. Embracing microfailures. There is a simple yet deeply transformative idea hidden in those few words from Nietzsche. Do something difficult every day. At first glance, it may sound like a commandment to punish yourself, but that is far from its meaning. What Nietzsche was really urging is practice. He was inviting every one of us to bring our weaknesses from darkness into light, to hold them gently in our awareness, and to test our edges, softly, deliberately, with awareness. In the same way that the muscles in your body grow stronger not by avoiding weight, but by gradually lifting more than before, your soul grows stronger when it chooses challenge instead of retreat. This is the core of embracing microfailures, the small daily acts that redefine who you become, even if no one else sees them. Picture waking before sunrise and standing in the cold morning air, surveying the world as it sleeps, feeling a tremor of chill around your bones. For many, this feeling triggers a swift retreat beneath the blankets. But what if instead you paused and said yes? Even 30 seconds in the cold is a small victory. That shiver becomes an invitation. I am choosing discomfort. I am awake. Picture a moment in a conversation where your heart wants to say yes, to conform, to avoid conflict, to keep peace, but your soul knows better. When you choose to say no, you affirm your boundary. You declare that your inner compass matters more than someone else's satisfaction. That act alone, standing firm in your truth, becomes a micro-failure of your old habits and a micro-rebirth of your sovereignty. Writing an uncomfortable truth in your journal, one that you would rather avoid admitting even to yourself, is another form of micro-failure. It is a tiny confrontation with what lies beneath the surface. In that moment, your vulnerability meets courage. You may tremble as you pen your fear or insecurity, or the part of your past you've been ashamed of. But as the words take shape on the page, you will feel a spark of clarity and integrity. There is power in seeing your soft edges in ink, and that power begins to transform weakness into awareness, awareness into acceptance, acceptance into choice. These micro-failures are not failures in the conventional sense. They are not mistakes or signs of weakness. They are small, intentional gestures of growth. Each time you lean into them, you tell your soul something essential. I am not defined by comfort anymore. When you push yourself into the margins of safety, you begin to reclaim ground inside your own being. These aren't grand victories, but they are steady steps across an unseen bridge. In ancient samurai culture, a ritual known as Cha no Yu, the art of tea ceremony, embodies this practice in exquisite detail. The tea ceremony is simple in appearance but extraordinarily delicate in execution. Each movement is precise. How you hold the cup, the flow of your breath as you pour, the angle of your wrist and fingers. Fragile cups rest on fragile wooden stands, and even a slight tremble can spill the tea. It is in this tension between fragility and intention, between tradition and presence, that the samurai trained. Every step was a test. Can I stay grounded when the steam rises? Can I remain composed when the world might shake at any moment? Chanoyu teaches something profound. Mastery is not won by overcoming great battles. It is earned in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It is a daily choreography of calm, even on the edge of collapse. Nietzsche's ritual of microfailures is no different. When you choose discomfort, not to punish, but to practice presence, you are training your inner will. Each small resistance becomes steel-tempered, each subtle tremor an opportunity for stability. Even more profound is the ripple effect these tiny acts have on your life. When you choose the cold, you begin to choose discomfort in other areas too. The tough conversation, the honest apology, the moment of creative exposure. When you choose to reflect in writing, you open the door to deeper insight, richer authenticity, and stronger integrity. When you choose silence or space in a dialogue, you teach your mind to see beyond habitual reaction. Each micro-failure you embrace enlarges your capacity for freedom, not through heroism, but through humility. And let's be clear, micro-failures are not easy. They will feel like failure. You will want to justify why a cup of tea should actually be hot, or why your truth needs a better time, or why the cold morning can wait. That resistance itself is the edge you're embracing. The edge you didn't know needed softening because it had grown hard around habit and fear. But here's the gift. Each time you lean into that resistance, you celebrate your inner power, not by ignoring pain, but by meeting it. You show yourself that your body can hold cold without breaking. Your mind can hold truth without escaping. Your will can lead when your heart trembles. Nietzsche offered this method not from a desire to make you hard, but to make you whole, to make you present, to make you an artist of your own becoming. And this is the key point. Microfailures aren't for a day or a week. They are lifelong companions. They don't set you apart as extraordinary. They make the ordinary extraordinary. They transform a simple breath into a declaration, a small no into a boundary, a jotted sentence into a seed of self-respect. Over time, they shape the landscape of your soul, not in one thunderous moment, but in the quiet million-fold whispers of daily choice. So begin today. Feel a small corner of weakness. Find a gentle threshold, cold, awkward, truth-filled, and lean in. Pause, breathe. Acknowledge the voice that wants to collapse into comfort, then inaugurate the shift. This one moment is different. I am choosing. You will tremble, but each tremble becomes a note in your newfound melody of strength. In samurai gardens, they place raked stones not to create order, but to invite presence. In Taoist monasteries, monks sit in stillness to feel the pulse beneath the pulse. Nietzsche gives you no garden, no hall, but he gives you your breath, your boundary, your pen, and your courage. From these humble instruments, your soul will build a life that doesn't run from weakness. It learns from it. It becomes stronger in it. This is the path, and this is your forging. The witnessing pause. In the thick of your day, when the world pressures you into speed, to reply, perform, react, it's easy to abandon your calm. An urgent email lights up your phone. A voice inside murmurs, "You can't handle this," or a friend's text rattles you. Your first instinct is almost always the same. Jump in head first, respond without thinking, brace for impact. But Nietzsche urges a different path. He points toward a simple, yet profoundly powerful pause. Not a grand retreat, but a single moment of clear presence that flips the script from automatic reaction to conscious choice. Pause, but not to hide. This pause is not an escape. It's a pivot. Let your entire body slow, not just your mind. Close your eyes if you can, or soften the gaze, and take a single breath that says, "I am here." Focus on the air moving in and out of your lungs. Feel the heartbeat moving through your chest. Let sensation anchor your awareness. Don't analyze, don't judge. Instead, observe. Notice the tension in your shoulders, Pick up the inner script, as if listening to someone else talk. Hear the familiar loops. This is too much. You're failing. They'll judge you. You don't need to react to any of it. You just need to see it. This simple witnessing serves as a moment of freedom. With awareness, you step outside old patterns that have governed your reactions for years. Your nervous system, conditioned to leap before looking, gets a chance to recalibrate. The Damascus sword of your inner habit, the tyranny of immediate reactivity, loses its power. Nietzsche made this quiet truth clear. Self-awareness is the first step toward transformation. Once you witness your weakness without abandoning yourself, it is no longer your jailer. It has only become an experience. You're not doing this because you're cold or unfeeling. You're doing it because you've recognized weakness as a signal, an invitation to presence, not a launchpad for collapse. That email shouting urgency, it's not a trigger, it's a chance to pause. That inner voice saying that's too much, it's a teacher if you let it be. Buddhist mystics call this practice mindfulness, being fully present to what is happening inside and around you, without trying to fix or flee. Ramana Maharshi spoke of turning attention inward and watching the mind as an owl in flight, silent, alert, untouched. He didn't say it was easy, he said it was effective. Ramana found that even 1 minute of inner observation could break a habitual pattern of anxiety or reactivity. In Christian contemplation, mystics describe this pause as stillness before God, a moment when words don't need to flow, when answers aren't demanded, but the heart simply listens. That silence has healing power. It interrupts the relentless noise of obligation and reveals a deeper echo of truth. Let's revisit your midday stress. You feel yourself tightening. You hear, "This is too much." Now you pause. You observe. For 30 seconds, you're not your thoughts. You're the witness to your thoughts. In that space, clarity forms. You can choose to respond with calm. You can pick, what do I need right now? You're not acting out the script of fear. You're writing a new one with presence, intention, and grace. Neurologically, this pause rewires habit. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that navigates choice, regains control when you create even a second of separation. The amygdala, the seat of fight or flight, loses a bit of its grip. Over time, small pauses become stepping stones toward newfound self-sovereignty. Nietzsche insisted, once you can see your weakness, it no longer owns you. You do. This practice is not abstract. It's tangible, real, and it is immediately available wherever you are, in meetings, in traffic, in emotional storms. No one but you needs to know you're pausing. The world notices. It respects the energy of someone who won't be pushed off their center. A Zen master once said, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The difference isn't in the tasks, it's in the presence. A person who pauses in response becomes the soil in which grace can take root. Same mess, different mind. Here's a practical ritual to begin with. When you sense tension, give yourself a permission slip, 3 quiet breaths. As you pause, place your hand on your chest or belly, grounding yourself in your own presence. Ask simply, what is here? What is true? Tune into the story. Let it speak, but don't believe its narrative. Choose your next step. Maybe it's a calm reply, maybe it's a walk, maybe it's saying, not now. This is the witnessing pause, tiny, but mighty. Imagine the transformation when this becomes your default mode. In any storm, instead of being tossed, you find the still point. Instead of shrinking, you expand. Instead of demanding answers, you allow insight. Instead of reacting unconsciously, you respond courageously. Over time, the pause becomes your ally. It becomes a doorway into your own power. It becomes a habit of presence. Nietzsche gave you a key. Today, you turn it. Not alone, but with company. Ancient mystics, modern science, all point toward the same truth. Transformation begins in awareness. So breathe, stop, observe, decide. That one pause, it begins everything. The action anchor. Walking away from your weakness is more than just a mental choice. It must be lived in your body. This is why Nietzsche's idea of an action anchor is so powerful. It is not enough to think, I'm stronger than my fears. You need to step into that truth with your muscles, your breath, your entire posture. Doing so roots your transformation in flesh and blood, making your mind follow. In this practice, thought and body join, creating a living agreement between what you feel on the inside and how you stand in the world. Imagine the moment before the day ends. You've sat at your desk, answered your calls, checked your email, and perhaps carried the weight of unresolved tension. In the quiet space before you turn off the lights or close your computer lid, you pause, not only mentally but physically. Your eyes drift to the open doorway or the window. You notice your body is hunched, trapped in the day's stress. There's sweat drying on your skin, your breath shallow and hidden. At that moment, the action anchor invites you, move. So perhaps you step outside into the cool air, stretch your arms overhead, and take a deep breath that rolls from belly to collarbone. Then you let it go, again and again. With each inhale, you claim vitality. With each exhale, you release the residue of fear. This isn't a performance, no Instagram filter, no audience. It's a ritual between you and your body, a whispered promise that you're not bound by what has drained your mind today. A short run can work wonders here, whether it's around a block or in place under the open sky. You don't need to set records or track miles. You simply need rhythm. One foot responding to the other, breath syncing to movement, awareness traveling downward from your mind into your lungs, into your legs. Your heartbeat becomes your teacher, reminding you how present you are. In that moment, you are not your fear, your excuse, or your fatigue. You are motion in motion. That motion roots your soul into a different story, one of emergence, not retreat. And it's not only running. You could choose a moment of intentional stretching, arms bending, spine uncoiling, hips opening. Or perhaps you practice a slow yoga flow under fading light, allowing each posture to say, I choose alignment, even when life pulls me off center. Or you simply lean into 5 or 10 mindful deep breaths under the open sky, letting the evening wind trace your skin and remind you the world moves too. And so can you, even when your day was heavy. Notice how your body responds. Feel the weight moving from your chest down to your feet. Observe how your posture shifts, your shoulders drop, your head lifts. Listen to each exhale washing away tension, leaving space. Internal landscapes shift when you engage your body with awareness. You're not only decompressing your mind, you're embodying a truth in your sinew. I rise. Mystics through history have pointed toward this exact magic. Take Ramana Maharshi, the master of silent presence. When people came to him, they expected words, texts, lectures. Instead, he often sat, utterly still. But visitors felt everything shift. His stillness was flowering activity. When he simply was, his presence spoke stronger than any sermon. In that humble posture, he became a living anchor for transformation. Nietzsche would say that the wise do not always sit quietly, but when they move, they do so with full presence, carrying a calm strength in every gesture. He believed the body is the medium through which the spirit speaks most clearly to the world. When you walk with intention, stretch with awareness, breathe to release, you give your soul a language. You anchor your becoming in movement. The action anchor also rewires your nervous system. Modern science tells us that our body and mind are deeply connected. Entering a calm state with breath and movement changes your brain chemistry. Endorphins release, tension fades, clarity blooms. That moment under the sky or in motion signals your inner architecture. This is safe. I am present. I can respond. And after, the residue of fear loses its grip. But even more vital is the symbolic nature of this act. In Nietzsche's words, weakness is not annihilated, it is transmuted. When you stand in your body and move with purpose, you tell your psyche, I am not small, I am active, I am not frozen, I am evolving. With every stretch, every step, every breath, you rewrite the narrative that once said, you couldn't. And you do it slowly, in real time, in your own flesh. Let's add depth from mystic wisdom. In Sufi paths, they speak of whirling dervishes, spinning in sacred dance until their ego dissolves. The spiral is no random shape. It echoes the opening of consciousness around the spine, which yogis call the pathway of Kundalini. Even a few moments of intentional flow, stretching your chest, opening your heart, and grounding your feet can evoke that spiral awakening. Such movement awakens something older than thought. The body's innate knowing that we are alive, we are centered, we are moving toward clarity. Taoist teachings also emphasize movement as meditation. They speak of Tai Chi, slow, deliberate movement practiced as a conversation between heaven and earth. With each pose, practitioners listen to their bodies, adjust their balance, and align with the flow of energy. They become their own masters of fluid presence. Nietzsche's action anchor is like a simpler form of this: a short run, a few breaths, a stretch. But both speak the same language: physical rituals that remind the soul of its capacity to hold space, to expand even when pressures push. The nightly charge. There's something sacred about the hour just before sleep. The world grows quiet, the distractions settle, and what's left is you, and your day laid bare. Many people rush through this moment, burying it under screens or slipping straight into unconsciousness. But if you pause here, even for just 2 minutes, something powerful happens. Your soul listens, and your story begins to rewire itself from the inside out. Nietzsche once suggested that the final thought before sleep becomes the seed of the next day's identity. It plants something in the soil of your subconscious, something small, maybe even invisible, but it grows. This is why the practice of the nightly charge is more than reflection. It's transformation. You begin by sitting in stillness, on your bed, on the floor, by a window. You don't need incense or mantras or anything elaborate, just presence. You think back on your day, not to shame yourself, but to see clearly. Where did you shrink? Was it in a conversation where you nodded instead of speaking your truth? Was it when you avoided discomfort, chose distraction, or silenced your instinct? Note it, not as failure, but as data. Then ask, where did I rise? It might be something small. You stood up a little taller when someone questioned you. You answered a message you were scared to read. You sat in silence when you would have filled it with panic. These are not grand, heroic gestures. They are quiet rebellions. They are subtle revolutions of becoming. They matter. Now take out a notebook, something separate from your to-do lists, something sacred. Write them down in simple words. I held my ground in a hard moment. I avoided scrolling when I felt anxious. I spoke up for myself even if it was awkward. Write also where you hesitated, but do it without judgment. I hid my truth today. I distracted myself from something real. I chose the easy path. These are mirrors, not punishments. They reflect where you are, not where you're doomed to stay. Next, light a candle, if you have one. If not, close your eyes and imagine it. That soft flame is a symbol. It says, "This was my day and I am awake to it." Then whisper, softly, sincerely, "Thank you." This is not performative gratitude. This is not pretending everything is perfect. It's acknowledging that every moment, good, bad, or unresolved, is material for your becoming. This is the nightly charge, a moment of radical self-witnessing that breaks the trance of autopilot. It turns your day into a teacher, not a blur. It teaches your brain not to ruminate on shame, but to notice strength. Each night you do this, your mind subtly begins to rewire. You no longer fall asleep carrying the weight of what went wrong. Instead, you rest in awareness of what was real and what was strong. You prime yourself for growth. Nietzsche understood this. He believed that we are not fixed beings, but constantly becoming, shaped by the thoughts we nurture, the rituals we perform, and the meanings we give to life. By charging your night with intentional reflection, you take authorship of your path. You stop being a passive passenger and start becoming the one steering. In many ancient traditions, the night was seen as a portal, not just to sleep, but to the inner world. The Egyptians believed the soul travelled at night, navigating the underworld not as punishment, but as purification. The Kabbalists viewed sleep as a descent into the unseen, where the soul receives guidance. Even in Taoist thought, nighttime was when yin energy, still, reflective, inward, offered its wisdom. What you bring into the night shapes the messages you receive, so this ritual is not trivial. It's a way of handing your soul a compass before the journey inward. When you sleep after charging your night, your subconscious begins working with intention. You might find your dreams clearer, your mornings less chaotic. You begin to wake with subtle resolve, not because your life changed overnight, but because you changed how you carried it. In time, the nightly charge becomes a ritual you crave, like brushing your teeth, but for your inner world. You don't feel right without it, and when you look back, days, weeks, months later, you'll notice something strange. The person writing in that notebook each night, they've grown. Their fears don't sting the same. Their confidence feels less like a performance and more like a natural state. Their days hold more courage, not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. And here's the quiet truth. Most people never do this. Most people live entire lives never seeing themselves clearly. Never stopping long enough to notice the patterns, the small victories, the ways they are becoming more than who they were yesterday. The nightly charge interrupts that fate. It becomes your rebellion against unconscious living. And in that rebellion, you are reborn, night after night, page after page. Tomorrow is already shaping itself, but tonight, before it begins, give your soul this moment. Just 2 minutes, 1 page, 1 flame, 1 breath of real presence. Whisper thank you, and mean it. Then sleep, not to escape, but to integrate. When you wake up, something will be different. It might be subtle, like a steady calm where there used to be panic, or it might be bold, like speaking with conviction where you once stayed silent. But it will be there. The seed was planted, and that's all you needed. You've arrived at the truth most people never dare touch, that transformation doesn't require a lightning strike. It requires rhythm, small, intentional rhythm, the kind that begins before your eyes even open and continues through discomfort, through silence, through action, and into the quiet depths of night. This isn't just a routine, it's a living ritual, a way of remembering who you truly are, not once, but over and over, until your bones believe it. Nietzsche never promised that life would hand you power. In fact, he warned that life would test your will at every turn. But what he taught, between the lines of his fire and fury, was that power is cultivated, not granted. It is built in those unglamorous seconds where most people look away. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait until the weakness is gone. You begin where you are, with the shaking hands, with the old fears, with the forgotten dreams, and you move anyway. In the Vedic texts, there's a concept called tapas, a kind of inner heat born from disciplined practice, a fire that purifies the self. This fire doesn't roar, it simmers. It's built through repetition, through the decision to rise again, to stay aware, to lean into tension rather than shrink from it. The morning intent you wrote yesterday, that was your tapas. The micro-failure you faced today, more fire. The moment you paused when your body wanted to react, that was you, stoking the flame, and soon, without warning, you begin to change. The voice in your head sounds different, less like a critic, more like a guide. Your posture shifts, you walk a little taller, you speak more clearly, you don't apologize for simply existing. This isn't arrogance, it's self-recognition, and it only comes from showing up consistently, with the courage to see yourself fully. Let go of perfection. Let go of the pressure to transform in one sweeping gesture. You're not here to perform strength. You're here to become it, patiently. Strength isn't loud. It isn't always seen. Sometimes it looks like saying no. Sometimes it looks like staying silent. Sometimes it looks like breathing through pain you once ran from. And sometimes it looks like resting, because rest too is sacred when it's chosen with intention. In Sufi mysticism, they speak of polishing the mirror of the heart. Every action, every word, every breath is either clouding it or clarifying it. What you've done by walking these Nietzschean steps, by integrating the pause, the reflection, the charge, is begin to polish your own mirror. You are learning to see through your distortions. You are learning to meet yourself not with fear, but with fierce compassion. And from that meeting, strength arises. The world won't necessarily reward you for this work. There will be no applause, but there will be something better, inner sovereignty. The deep knowing that no matter how hard life presses, you don't bend at the core. Because you've met your weakness, you've sat with it, you've trained beside it, and now it serves you. That is the ultimate shift. When your so-called flaws become your raw fuel, when your triggers become your teachers, when your softness becomes the proof of your strength, that's when you stop chasing power and begin embodying it. So yes, these rituals are simple, but they are not small, they are doorways. Every morning you wake up and choose intent over impulse. You step through one. Every time you lean into discomfort, into a small failure, you cross another. Every pause, every breath, every act of quiet reflection is a rebellion against the noise, against the programming that tells you you're not enough until you have more. You're not here to be more, you are here to remember. This has always been Nietzsche's deeper message, beneath the fire, beneath the thunder, that within you there is a becoming, a wild, raw, untamable becoming. And it is not something the world will hand you, it is something you claim. So begin again, today. Light a candle, write the truth, step into the cold air, pause before you answer, move your body with awareness, breathe, reflect, and know. Every one of these moments is a turning point. Not for the world, for you. You will not be the same tomorrow. Because you are no longer waiting, you are choosing, and that changes everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.